Hello, people of the internet. How is everybody?
Hi.
Hello, my dog Skip, Lorna, Roland UK, or is it R Holland?
Can't it be both?
It could be R Netherlands. Could be.
I just have to work out why Twitch is doing this. Why are you doing this, Twitch?
What is it doing?
It's not letting me see the whole screen. It's going to be reading things difficult. Is this something I can tell to go away? No, that reports you apparently. I don't want to do that. I just want to...
Hello, Toros, Crazy Redcoat. Welcome to the show.
Ah! I made the screen bigger.
That's always an option. Today's choice of drink for me in the beginning is a cup of beep beep.
Nice. It's not as good as my Babylon 5 mug, which is now over there. It was behind me last week.
Yeah, but I have on the other side the never-ending talking droid.
Oh, that's good.
So either way, I can tell people to beef up or be very communicative.
That's the way to do it.
Hello, Amanda.
You may not have recognized me due to my red arm. Best line ever.
Yeah, at first I was annoyed by him, but with growing age, he really has grown on me. Did I mention I met Anthony Daniels once?
No.
In life and in person. That was 1997, just on the heels of the special edition releases in Munich at JediCon.
Nice.
And we had a behind-the-scenes, don't tell anybody what you see here meeting with the guys from the special effects. And they've shown us how they did the additional Hoth sequence with the chopped off arm.
Oh, excellent. The Wampa.
Yeah. What? That was a really wonderful experience.
I'm sure it was. About the same time, probably actually the same year, I think 97. I met Michael Shard. Kids from the UK will remember him as Mr. Brunson from Grange Hill. Other people may remember him as Hitler from Indiana Jones, or Admiral Ozzel, You've failed me for the last time, from Star Wars.
Yeah, a man of many traits.
And that was at a tiny convention in Cork in Ireland called WarpCon, where he got very drunk on poachine that we were definitely not supplying him with. Was doing Darth Vader impersonations with the microphone from the pub quiz and taking the piss out of the head of Hogshead Publishing, who just that year picked up the license to do the reprint of Warhammer Fantasy. So he was there, big announcement, we've got this. Meanwhile, there's Michael Shard on a table giving him, you failed me for the last time. Going, this is amazing, up until the point you go, what age is he? We're going to kill him, aren't we? It's going to be all over the news.
Local teens kill.
Yeah. That wasn't even local, it's the other end of the country from me.
It's all in relative terms. Well, the little clip you've released, or should I say OTT released, with the X-Wing solo play rules, I just saw the notification and thought, well, I know you wanted to do a solo play. I didn't know you wanted that fast. But then again, it was only the clip from the Weekender.
I hadn't even seen it.
Yeah, that's...
because I was filming this afternoon with somebody, so I don't know what they've been up to while I was offline.
It was literally the short 8 or 10 minutes from the Weekender where you discussed the solo play rules.
Is that showing up from YouTube's
it's
algorithm?
on the no. I've clicked the bell so I get notifications via email.
Right, because I know our clips site, which I don't think is supposed to be listed. It's mostly where we just put stuff for people. But I noticed it being suggested to me last week, going, oh, you like this, you should go and have a look at their clips thing. Going, should they? I'm pretty sure they shouldn't.
Well, I've got reading material here as well. May have seen these before.
Printed out in full colour, like what God intended.
Yeah, and especially useful if you're wanting to take notes. Hazy boy, greetings.
Trying to work out how pasta maker works. Ignore me. I'll put that away now.
You
I'll stop playing with that.
You have to stick your finger in and turn the crank.
I don't think my finger would fit. By my tongue. My tongue looks like it would fit.
That would be possible, and I'm sure if Robert was here, he would cheer you on.
I imagine he would. I imagine he definitely would. Terrible, terrible bastard that he is.
So, speaking of terrible bastards, we are starting with 8th Army Indian Infantry.
We are. No.
By the way, before we get started, people, I've rearranged my microphone again. So if it's sounding way awful, Jerry, you are on the same mic as ever, but the stream gets a different one. Just start screaming if it's not good. Lord Dance will cheer you on in Robert's absence. That's very
Cheers,
good.
Paul. That is good to know. That is very good to hear. But yeah, we're starting with Shoop.
Shoop 77.
Named after the Shoop song.
That's an old project.
Yes, but no, but yes, but no.
So this is again something like a revigorated spring cleaning challenge part, whatever.
Yes, it may be a bit big, but it also flags up a problem that somebody had before in one of the chats. I think actually would notice that it happened. That I have to poke Tom now. So whatever way it's set up to page, if you click on this, it takes you to the oldest part and the newest stuff is hidden. I don't know why, but it does. However, since we hadn't been here before and it's 8 years, it's like every couple of months / 6 months, he just sort of kind of revisits and does a bit more. So I quite like it.
Well, that's the main part.
Yeah.
If it's got the Jerry seal of approval, there can't be too much going wrong.
And it's not just that I'm also doing 8th Army, but there's an awful lot. Whenever people do 8th Army, the desert rats get wheeled out all the time. So the sort of the British are always there, and then occasionally the Anzacs get a little. Oh, look, there were Australians there and some New Zealanders. That's all good, but he's doing the Indian infantry, who kind of get glossed over an awful lot, despite the fact that a metric fuck ton of them were drafted in, mostly to die horribly in Europe, because they just had numbers. So it was the British Commonwealth looked at them the same way Russia looked at its men. It was like, we have an unlimited resource there.
I was just about to say that sounded an awful lot like the Second World War strategy done by Russia. Just throw everything at them.
Yeah. And they were incredibly tough fighters. So I thought it was nice to see this, because it's not the usual 8th Army you'll see. It's not the usual Commonwealth force that you see. So it's nice.
I see they have turbans.
Yeah. There's a couple of that Commonwealth sprue is really good actually, because it has the Indian, and then it also has the Punjab, the little like pointed hat in a turban, for different fighters. So there's like 6 different head.
Is that one smoking?
Yes. Oh, quite a lot of them are smoking. Now I don't know if those ones are, but there are certainly cigarette smoking heads on that sprue, because I have quite a lot of them, and I like that as well, because to be brutally honest, if somebody was going to send me over the top in the shithole dump of a place like the middle of a fucking desert, I would definitely want a cigarette.
And it seems like he's done a very good test mini.
Better than mine. He's fucking based his. Show off.
People.
Yeah, I know.
Always showing off.
I would definitely suggest clicking buttons as you go with this one, because we're not coming back to this page. Because once we get down to the bottom, we then have to go to a new page to see the recent stuff that he's done this year. So strap on, people. Maybe go for a loo now if you need. And it's an all-encompassing project, because it's, here's my miniatures, here's my test, here's what I'm doing now. Here I'm going to go and build some buildings, tack them in, because that's always good. And here's how I'm going to paint the buildings up. And it's a one-stop shop for people who want to go into North Africa.
Do you remember when laser cut MDF buildings really caught on. Is that already 2 years ago?
Oh yeah, definitely. The first laser cut building I bought was by a German place when I was just getting into World War II 15mm, and it's the cantilever bridge from the Low Countries, and these days I think he only sells STL files, but back then you could get a laser cut bridge and it was a bastard to put together, because it just essentially arrived folded, a couple of sheets folded in some tin foil and then put in an envelope. I'm not kidding you. And I opened it and there's no instructions or anything, like bits are falling out and I'm going, what the fuck is any of this? So maybe that is indeed who it is, Nevis.
So it was a 3D puzzle for advanced users.
Yeah. He used to do resin stuff as well, because I have about 20 of his resin cast houses, which were laser cut and then cast in silicon. So they were only, you essentially got 4 walls, and the walls are only cast on one side. The other side is just, bare shiny
flat
resin, and you just had to glue them together. But they were great. I think he sold that and then just went to STL files. Oh, squeeze me, because I know where this is. Because there it is there. So that I got, I'm going to say 9 years ago. That's the first time I got a laser cut thing. So they've been around for 9 years plus. And nowadays they arrive in a position where people can actually build them without spending, I must have spent hours looking up pictures of this fucking bridge and trying to work out what went where. Because everything is laminate layers, so every time you see like a grill or it's like a layer upon a layer upon a layer. And at some point I broke that. Oh, that's amazing! I'm gonna have to fix that now. Oh, where's my PVA? No, I'll do it after the stream. But yeah, so yeah, it's been more than 2 years. Is what we're saying when we get right down to that.
And he's using a very wide range of beiges, it seems.
Yeah. Does he still go to Antwerp? Like last time I was on his site, he had literally, in fact, before the last time I was on his site, he had sold it to a Danish company called Wolf something. He'd sold the old resin stuff, not that bridge. It's just fucking gone. And now he just sells the STL files for those people with those printy things.
For the modern kids.
Yeah.
Who read PDF files and don't value the smell of a good book.
Exactly. It's also where I learned that you really need to seal MDF and HDF, because quite frankly, that's horrible once it's got a fucking prime on it. So
these are really, really nice little ones. Oh, this one is eating a sausage.
There are.
Or something similar.
I'm assuming he's blowing a trench whistle, telling people to get up and over the top. But
I was thinking he has bitten someone's dick off.
Sure, that too. Why not?
Oh, am I just happy now that I don't have any alcohol with me? That could turn out a very weird stream.
That's one way of doing it, certainly. I like that.
That's a nice little truck.
Yeah.
I love the fact that he has gone so far as to insert little shields as windows.
Blister pack. Warlord give you a sheet that you cut out and stick in, but it's very thin. And I hadn't realised it was in the blister when I was making my German Opel Blitz. So they just didn't get windscreens. But blister pack will do the same job. It's a bit thicker as well.
I would imagine. If it's too thin, it probably doesn't look right after all.
Yeah, well, the 30th anniversary edition is just a straight reprint, isn't it? It's just the two books. Oh, I think they put them in a slipcase. That was it. There's nothing else clever about it, is there?
No, apart from the actual fact you could get them for a reasonable price and not get scalped by anybody on eBay.
That's okay. I was looking at them and I was thinking, do I want it? I've got the second edition up there, so I don't really need the first edition, although it would be nice.
Well, don't ask someone if you want something Star Wars who has 4, 5, 6 versions of the same movie on different formats.
Oh, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Anywho, so this brings us up to
Nearly
halfway
there. Halfway there. So we're just going to mash buttons and skip a bit because he's done such a good painting. I'm already feeling bad again.
We'll see some of the stuff on the next page anyway. I do like this.
This is a happy chap.
Oh, he is. That's the British 8th Army commander I've got kicking around somewhere. In fact, he's one of my test models.
The fact that he's looking so happy means his mug is still full.
Yeah, and my mug's half full there as well.
And so here is why you're having this army. A monkey that could be easily resculpted as a squirrel.
Could be a squirrel. Not saying it's going to be a squirrel. Could be a squirrel.
Just add some tuft in the rear end and you have a squirrel.
I do have 2 of those radio operators though. Because I needed a second platoon because I went a bit mental and ended up with too much.
And the antidote for too much is buying more, as everybody knows.
It means then I can split it down into two separate forces. So I'll have my my Aussies, and then I'll have some form of 8th Army, like I was originally planning. He's done everything in contour camo pattern as well. God bless him.
And now we can see where he's from. Because of newspaper. Giving away.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe not. Maybe that's from somewhere else. That they've just used it as packing material.
Possible. Unlikely.
I love that. Because he's not rocking universal carriers. He has the specific India pattern carriers. Which he's got from just everywhere. I just love that because they're all more or less the same thing, but slightly different, just like they've been built by different people, different manufacturers to send them across. So, and again, contour pattern. And again, like I was saying previous, I can't remember when I was talking about that, it might have been on XLBS, by the fact that the pattern should be the same on the same type of vehicle, and it is. He's done it.
I think it was the last or the one before.
So now, unless this
because I can clearly remember, and that should mean it's not so far.
It's been recent. Here you can see the issue with paging that we currently have, which is if you are now at the bum, you hit previous entries, and previous entries doesn't give you a previous entry; it gives you
first
a more recent entry. So something's gone wrong in the paging, but that's a Tom-based problem for another day.
Yeah, maybe he should just reset the project pages. Oh. I know a few people who would go mental on that.
Yep, I imagine they would.
I can remember I was just discovering Beasts of War a month prior to relaunch of the site.
That wasn't painful at all.
Oh no.
No.
I think I'm still waiting on some features to be enabled. No pressure, Tom. No pressure.
No, not at all. That's all right. He doesn't watch this. Once his day's over, he just goes out back and hits effigies of all the on tabletop crew and regulars with the sticks in his back garden.
As long as it's effigies and he's not snagging someone and hitting. Or is that why some people have left the company, because they couldn't take the beating anymore?
Entirely possible that they're buried in his back garden. I really like the sappers, because I'm not sure if that is an actual model that he's picked up from somewhere of a sapper with a metal detector, or if he's converted that from something else.
Did I miss that? Oh, that one.
Yeah. There we go. Him. Because certainly the guy beside him with the pickaxe is a plastic model. The guy kneeling down is plastic. the standing up one. Could be a Perry, but the Perry don't scale as well as that with the Warlord plastics. And I know this because I have Perrys sitting here, and it's like children. And I know somebody will go, but people are different heights. But the problem is they're fucking helmets. Because the helmets weren't different sizes. It was one size fits no one. And you've got a tiny little helmet for Perrys, and then a big fuck off walk for everybody else from Warlord. You're going, shit, the equipment looks weird.
Yeah, he's saying in the text he didn't find any. He's asking for advice to where to find them, and these are built by himself.
Oh, it's smashing. There we go.
So C270, probably a German or Austrian or something else like in that vein. Well done. Gut gemacht. Or as I used to say when I was back in the army, Lob und Anerkennung eines deutschen Hauptgefreiten.
It's easy for you to say.
Yes, of course, because that was my rank.
So this is
this the last page? Or,
yeah.
And there are no pages in between, but we don't get them to see.
We don't get to see a bigger group shot than that close-up group shot, which is kind of disappointing, and you should take him to task for that. But he does tell us that this is now done, dusted, Africa's finished, so he's going to be off to do...
Oh, pardon me.
He's going to be off to do no snow in September, so I think where's my 15mm King Bridge again? We're going to be back at this. So he's going to be doing Bridge Too Far stuff, and I can't wait.
Maybe one point of criticism on the vehicles. The lights look weird. This plain blue. I don't know how accurate that is.
It wouldn't be that accurate. He's done it with all the glass on any of the solid stuff. So it may just be, I don't want to do cartoon shading and stuff. Some of those lights would have actually had covers on them.
Yeah, that was that's what I was thinking. Most German vehicles had these night vision little slit things.
Yeah, a lot of the British and Commonwealth had those as well. Yeah, you know, when you're taking him to task over not having more pictures of the completed army in all its glory, you can also then tell him to sort his windows and lenses out.
Get your shit together.
Letting the side down.
We've got yourself your 50 minutes of internet fame now. Work for it.
I think it's it's really nice, and it's the fact it started 2+ years ago, and then when we did the boot camp a year ago, it was like, there's been a little sort of push going, okay, I had an army like that, I should get back to it, and now for the Spring Clean Challenge, I actually come back and finish the bastard. So it's perfect. It ticks all my boxes in the grand scheme of ticking this.
I'll try to mute the mic for a second because I have to sneeze again. Pardon me.
Okay. I think you failed to mute the mic there, son. Based on the horn-like blow of your nose. All right, that's okay. I have no idea. I don't. All right. People are saying different things. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway. I'd say well done. Congratulations. It's fine. No, this is purely for me, because there's one thing I love. It's a well done board. Yeah. Mm. Oh, why would I do that? Of course, we always read the chat. We just may not always respond to it, Amanda, but we always read it.
How about now? So nobody heard my my weird stuff.
That's all right. That's the best way. There you go.
So, just going on then to Fallout scenery. So he's done. We're in the reverse again, are we? June 8th is the latest entry.
This is the latest. I don't know when we're going to hit something that we've visited before, if at all. So I thought I'd just leave it that way. Yeah. Although I think this may be. Yeah,
I think
it goes back into the mists of time. So I don't know if it's fresh to you.
We'll just then scroll down a bit and see what happens.
Oh,
because I haven't seen that many Fallout projects.
In fact, it goes back to October 2018, so it must have been when it first arrived.
Probably. But I haven't seen these.
All right, in that case, we'll start at the bottom and work our way up.
So we have a cardboard, looks like. No, it's MDF.
MDF. But it's in there, decorating them one room at a time.
like you should in real life, one at a time.
Somebody has started, Sarissa Precision have started selling sheets of wallpaper that you can decorate.
Scale.
Yeah, in scale that you can buy to decorate the interiors of your MDF buildings with.
Do they come with the little roller to attach them?
Tiny ruler. No.
So you're doing them lane by lane.
That would be amazing. I don't think they do, unfortunately.
That would make for an awesome stream. Renovating a 15 mil room.
First thing you have to do is build a tiny pasting table. Whatever they call them in Germany, they call them pasting tables here. And then once you've built that out, balsa wood, you can then set it up in the room, and then you can take out your little strips of wallpaper and measure it, and paste it, and then put it up, and then go in and trim those excess bits afterwards.
That sounds like not something for mental people. An exercise in patience. But back to the topic. The first room done, the dining room looks very apart. Has definitely the feel of the video game.
Quite like the gun sitting with the books on the table there beside the settee.
Yeah, the all-present...
Where you can it's just a magnum. You can just sit there reading your book, and if anybody comes along to annoy you, like a Jehovah's Witness, you can just shoot through your window at them. It's good.
Well, since the game is based on Fallout 4, there is a pipe gun that is really everywhere. You can find this, and that's the one I think it definitely looks like. Yeah, that's... I don't know, that is a revolver, but Fallout 4 is littered with guns. So you will never have no gun. Problem is you will have no ammo. But that's not too bad, because you can recycle guns and craft your own ammo. Yeah, and here we see the video reference he used. Which
maybe that's why the rest hasn't been decorated yet. Just to get further in the game to see what's in the other rooms. Keep dying in this room. Fuck's sake. Someday I'll find out what the kitchen looks like. Someday.
He hasn't found the right door to leave.
It's like me playing Nightmare, the adventure game on the Spectrum. I could never get out of the first two rooms. I just went back and forward until I gave up, and then would quit. And then we'd go back and try and play it again like a few months down the line until I became infuriated. Especially because, you had to wait 40 minutes for it to load just to be trapped in two fucking rooms. Back and forward.
Similar was my first experience when I got my first own PC, which was the Commodore 64. And the first game I played without having any knowledge in English was Maniac Mansion.
Dear.
I never made it through the door. Until somebody gave me the walkthrough, and I literally found out how to use this information manual. Pick up doormat, get key, use key on door. Oh, that's easy. Now I know how to play the game.
Oh.
Those were 33 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a day or two, hasn't it?
And I still have that computer.
That's, because they were built to last then.
and because I really loved that thing. I've played it to bits. Other people were on the Amiga and got to the PC. I still was gaming on my C64.
Sweet. I just like looking out the window and seeing his green cutting mat, the self-healing cutting mat, and I can't help but think it's just the textures haven't loaded in yet for the outside world. It's just grids and numbers everywhere.
Could be. Since it's a Bethesda game, that wouldn't surprise me at all. Maybe programmers should use a cutting mat mesh as a backdrop and not this other stuff they use. It would be only fun for miniature gamers, but it would be fun.
Yeah, well, we are the most important people.
Oh, and he uses pictures and posters.
Yep.
Actual Nuka-Cola girl, I can see.
Well, remember, this is Denzian, and after listening to me banging on about the massive Art Deco posters on his World War I buildings, he did a separate post showing more pictures of those posters. So I'd have been offended if we didn't see them.
Well, it's 2 years prior, so...
Yeah.
But he has really invested a fuck ton in details for this.
Well, why wouldn't you?
The thing is, I was thinking about doing the same, and what kept me from really doing it, the houses he's using as reference are in a settlement called Sanctuary Hills, and they're all more or less blasted. So there's holes everywhere, and I thought this would be a pain in the ass to recreate. And if you take a look at the STL files that are now officially available from Modifius, they do look exactly like the ones in the video game, with all the missing tiles and holes in the wall, etc.
Shocking. Some people have too much time in their hands, just saying.
Yeah. What does he do for a living? Paint miniatures?
Denzian? I don't know. Occasionally goes to South Africa and dresses up like a redcoat. It's good.
Maybe that should be the theme of my next Sunday stream. People's profession next to the hobby. Does it influence you?
What do you do? How could I get a job like you bastards, with all this time to paint? How very dare you?
Oh, look, a Cox trader.
Nice.
But
I'm assuming that's something in game.
I think he did a unintentional joke there for the Cult of Games.
We'll take it. We're not proud.
I think at that time the Cult of Games hasn't been established yet.
No, not in 2018.
The official Red Rocket terrain. That was a bit pricey, but it looks really exactly like the one in the game.
Well, it was the resin rocket that came with it, because you imagine the actual laser cut part isn't particularly difficult to do for them. They're already doing that.
I think they outsourced that to another company, if I remember correctly. Maybe Manda has a bit more knowledge, or can remember better, should I say. Because I know I've looked them up, and when they first announced them, and I found them that the MDF was coming from another company that was outsourced.
The Red Rocket, I have to say, I've just go looking for a 1/72 V2.
Yeah, but the whole kit,
I wouldn't worry about the whole kit. Once you've got the Red Rocket, you can make the rest out of balsa wood and foam core.
You technically could, but there is, at least for me, a thing to when it's official. It's like I don't know, like a knighthood of something. Yes, I'm a sucker for merch.
Battle systems, says Amanda. That makes sense. It has those weird clippy things that they do with their battle system this.
And way back then, I've looked up the other things they did, and that seemed okay. Though the Red Rocket was a bit expensive for my taste. Oh no!
Stop me, robot people. Using a police department.
Those are ghouls.
Ooh, look at you with your 1,000 skill nominations. Go team.
Yay, go me. I wonder if
How long will it take you to get to 1,000 tutorial nominations? Huh? Mm-hmm.
I don't know. 10 weeks? If we keep this pace up.
Not everybody gets a tutorial, though.
No, that's true. He has really gone on and beyond for all these little pieces. This is amazing. And now we're entering current territory.
He is a filth wizard. Friend only to the badger. And achievement Justin will never get, you're right. It ranks up there with logging successfully into Discord.
I wonder if Denzian had some kind of heart failure when Modifius said, okay, we're releasing official buildings. All your work was.
All your work is in vain. Well, no, it's not really, because you can always use the other stuff anyway.
And let me just say, in this big overview, which isn't completed yet, that's a table I'd like to play on.
Oh, yeah, it's very good. I particularly like the way it's covered up all the skulls, because it does look like it's the GW skull-based board.
I have to take your word for that.
They did a plastic board that cost a ridiculous amount of money, and because it's GW, even though it was a green fantasy board with a hill on it, everything was covered in skulls. So it's like, you know how you get those cut away sections of the earth where it goes crust, upper mantle, lower mantle, magma, and it works out. Obviously in the Warhammer world it's like crust, skull layer, and then dirt. And every now and again you just see like a little pit or a little crack with exposed skull layer underneath. The entire world was just fucking skulls with a dusting of dirt over the top of it.
Yeah, I can see this now.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, what the fuck? It would have been a nice board if it hadn't been for that. And I've seen so many people have bought those at the time, and then the first thing they did was get plaster or putty or something and fill those fucking skull layers in.
For Fallout, he could have gone with some kind of green resin or something. But he did a good job in covering them up, yes. I must...
Well, it's quite nice because you've got that whole broken road concrete layers, all of that, so you can quite happily cover those up.
And again, it's a very faithful recreation of what is in-game. Though,
if you say so.
Though I must say, the in-game isn't as colorful. It's a much more brownish. But nonetheless, this is quite a project. I think I will have to harass him a bit about that. Follow it.
Yeah, definitely. He's all for the harassing. If anybody doesn't follow his Zulu Rourke's Drift stuff, where he went out and he's got lots of, I don't know if it was just a holiday he was on specifically for that, or if it was like honeymoon. So, we definitely go to South Africa, it's lovely. But he also has him wearing his 95th rifle outfit, or not 95th rifle, the 23rd foot outfit that he bought. It's like, I've got everything except the rifle. So yeah, whenever he does a project, he just goes the whole hog into it.
So let's hope he hasn't gotten any hold of any nukes.
Well, that is true. Don't worry, this next one, unlike the first two, is relatively short.
Orcs and goblins.
I didn't just pick this because it's Lovecraft 2020. This is their first project, and they're doing a bit of fantasy orc. So orc with a C, not orc with a K.
So chopsticks and wood and orcs.
Yep.
That's a good start.
All you need, bits of balsa, bits of bamboo, bits of lollipop stick, and away you go.
Pointy sticks for the win, as I say.
Could not carve them properly with an X-Acto knife. Used a small jigsaw to carve them instead. Go team. So yeah,
we're having neck exercise again.
Yep, it's the best way. There was one there earlier for I think a Mount Fuji painting in Denzians. But I just like it. It's very simple tutorial again, where, just step by step. I want to make some sort of ramshackle barbarian orky watchtower. Here's how I'm going to do it.
I like this one. This one looks really nice. With all the scraped and pointy sticks wood things as
logs.
part.
Yeah,
very nice.
Using the kebab skewers. I then hoaxed through the bits box afterwards to find some things suitable to adorn it, which in this case are a variety of shields and one unlucky ogre's belly plate. I feel bad for that ogre.
Maybe he has grown out of it and needed a new one.
Well, yeah, let's hope. Let's hope he hasn't just been eaten by an orc.
That would be quite a stuffed orc, I imagine. Or some very not anymore hungry goblins and gretchens.
It's all right. Whatever you've left over, you can feed to the squigs.
Looking at these, I wouldn't think of some scrap wood he has used. These look really... the painting really kicks it.
Yeah, because it ties it all together. It doesn't look like it's a whole motley assembly of things. It gives a really nice effect. Possibly one thing I would have done with the big trunk-like balsa pieces is get a wire brush and just pull it down the length of it to give yourself a bit of like bark texture, because they're a bit smooth. But you can't really fault it. It's a nice wee project.
Well, and if the orcs are constantly hanging some people on them, I think they would rub them clean and soft.
Oh, that's true. You just have very smooth parts where you're constantly hanging the corpses, where you're hanging the prisoners / corpses off the edge.
Where the corpses are gently dangling in the wind, polishing the wood.
Polishing the wood. Very, very polished center sections, and then just bark top and bottom.
Why is it so shiny in the middle? You don't want to know.
Reasons.
We would have to show you. We can't tell you. Yeah, this is a nice little one. Especially because it's not the classical orc. We go mental on red and green. It's a more, dare I say, realistic approach.
Well, who has the time to paint stuff in the old world? You might slap a bit of paint on it if you're a mad boy on Armageddon or whatever it happens to be, but when you're just hanging around in the Black Mountains, then getting the watchtowers up the most important thing.
You say so.
You have to, otherwise a dwarf will come out of nowhere and have you. Nobody wants that.
They suddenly appear from underground.
They do. Like a whippet. Right up your leg.
So, what do you have in store for us next? A foray in Napoleon or... Oh, God. Somebody get me a tongue. Scripps did some Napoleonic wargaming. That is 15 mil.
This is not to be confused with the other Napoleonic 15 mil
we did last week,
which we looked up previously. This is a different one. This is really good because Robert, you'll see
in a sec.
I'm assuming he will watch this later on.
Oh, I already have seen a headline: planning tartan. Oh my God!
On 15 mils. Right. Here are the historically accurate tartan patterns I should be using, and here's how I'm going to recreate them in 15 mil.
Oh my God! Is this the point where an intervention is needed?
No.
To check somebody's sanity?
Firefox him. I really like that. And look, and he's used proper paints as well. He's gone down with his Vallejo, which means I can copy that without having to piss around with charts.
Yeah, I really wish somebody would make a decent app for that. And the emphasis is on decent.
Yeah, there's not many about. Up until last year, I was still using Daka's paint conversion chart, but then it turned out to be about 2 GW paint changes behind at one stage. It was just like, oh well.
I started with the leaflet Vallejo themselves give out as a point of reference.
Yeah,
but
somewhere up there.
At some point, I was just saying, "God, fuck it! I'm going to make my own colors as I see fit. I'm not doing historical. Nobody will ever complain. And anybody who complains can go fuck themselves."
Yeah, very much so. So hopefully at some point Robert will be here watching this, and then he can tell us all how amazingly great we are and how good he was for doing lots of lovely tartan on his 15mm stuff. It's a shame he's not here.
Yeah, and I feel like he's calling us cunts.
Oh yeah, well, you know, I imagine he probably would be if he was here. He'd probably be calling us cunts when he gets to read that sometime.
So next up, a ship of sorts. I've seen this before somewhere in a motion picture.
You've definitely seen this on a motion picture. So for people who were paying attention during Attack of the Clones, these are Wat Tambor's Trade Federation ships. Good old Techno Union.
Oh god, he's gone full on with the styrofoam cutter
and
Gerard's tools.
How fucking amazing is that?
Oh my god.
It's amazing. That's Legend scale, because they were huge, and they go just Anakin's going fire above the nacelles, above the fuel system into the thing, to take them out, and you're going, oh, that's massive. It's like the size of a skyscraper.
Yeah, this is some planning.
Oh yeah.
There's some planning going into this.
That base is big enough you could probably use it as a fucking stool and sit down to finish the rest of it off on.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. It's at least 20 centimeters across.
Adding piping as well. It's like adding piping. I'm just going to get all the straws.
Oh, this is great. He's using Warhammer as decals.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's broke up his boxes to get the Aztec patterning on them. Class.
Take this. You're now Star Wars. Disney now owns Warhammer.
Now, unfortunately, he did use some sort of 3D printing for the antenna, but we'll forgive him for that, because up until that point, the rest had been spot on.
And again, a fellow German. should have guessed. Usually, people using the Proxim styrofoam cutter are 80% German, I feel.
Because none of the rest of us can afford to import the fucking things.
You would think, but actually, Black Magic Thingamajig, the Canadian terrain guy, has
Black
one
Magic
himself.
Crafts.
Yes.
Yeah, but did the German fellow not bring it across with him in his luggage when he was bringing him other stuff? Going, here's foam for you to play with. And
no, he had the styrofoam cutter way before, and wow. As far as I know, he's doing the distribution for Gerard's tools. So he may even have a hand on some more cheapy imports. Yeah, but this thing looks amazing.
It's the last couple where he's got pictures of it, and I mean that in itself is fucking amazing. I mean, where's Hazy Boy and Collins and the rest? Oh, look at that! Up your game, lads! Up your game!
How much terrain do we need? Oh, I have a line of sight blocker.
Yeah, very much so.
It's so tall that an ATST could walk beneath it, but okay.
But there's a better picture. I think the first coloured picture, where it's just a close-up and there's a droid standing on the side with binoculars, just having a look. There we go. Enjoying life.
Don't fall down. It's a long way. Yeah, this is really cool.
Oh no, clones. Roger.
And being such a massive structure, he really didn't need much detail to make this thing a centerpiece.
Yeah, you stand back from a distance and just bask in just the whole size of that.
If I were to play Legion in the prequels area, I would be tempted to recreate that. But now
just find out where he is, get him to bring it round to yours, play some games.
Well, we are still in lockdown.
It has to end sometime.
That's true. But with my luck, he's from somewhere on the southern parts.
Oh, no. Oh, that's a terrible thing to say about anybody. You're practically calling him an Austrian.
Well, it wouldn't be far. You know the word Weißwurst-Äquator?
No, I don't.
So you may know that the Bavarians have a special treat which called is the Weißwurst. It's a special sausage. And as for any northern German, anything that is south of Hanover, which is quite literally 2/3 of Germany, is south of the Weißwurst-Äquator.
That's awesome.
So that tells you a lot about Germans in themselves.
Just in case you missed the link for that one, Hazy Boy. Boom. Chuck that in there. Because I feel that's one that you want to go and visit yourself. But yeah, it's good. It's good. I like it. I like all of that.
The next entry had me a bit surprised. I was thinking he was wanting to be a bit more secret about it.
Yeah.
But since he has done a project, we might...
No, he's done a project with everything.
Blinky.
It is Blinky's wanky app.
But he has fresh internet.
Well,
at least that was my last information he got. He strangled a BT technician so long that they finally said, "Okay, we fix it."
that is the way to do it.
It's the only way to deal with telecommunications.
My internet went down this morning, and it's like, I have filming to do with somebody in America this afternoon. Getting on the phone to BT and fix my internet. Also, there are pricks about from another telecommunications company, Virgin, installing stuff around the town at the moment. They're putting in fiber optic lines. I'm going, I seen one this morning, and now like 2 hours later my internet goes out, so it's probably them. Fucking find them. They're on your turf. It's like gang war. That's why I want to see BT open reach van pulling up and blocking a Virgin Media van as it's trying to get out, and then it's like a West Side Story gang fight.
And as those two battle it out on your back door, there's a knocking, and Google is there holding the fiber cable. Do you want internet? Fast internet?
Any of that'd be fine.
So Blinky is working on a game of sorts.
A cyberpunk game, I believe he says. A cyberpunk skirmish game.
And he's using a combination of traditional board and technical assistance. We won't say app, we say technical assistance at this point.
Technical assistance. So I'm not entirely certain why Warren gets a grenade launcher. I do understand why he does get the name Demolition Man. There is no subtlety with this character. Loud bangs, heavy artillery, the order of the day. To play Warzone, you must be unafraid of loud noises and oblivious to the consequences. It's your heavy-handed approach to... I see why he's Warzone now. Heavy-handed approach to street fighting may well attract the attention of local law enforcement. We've all lived in fear of the consequences. Nothing would get done, right? So, yeah. So this is interesting because the idea is to try and work out some way to play over Tinterweb, but play a real game, not that clunky left stuff up. However, then he then proceeds to put scrolling text in that looks like some sort of... I'm having flashbacks to coding on the Spectrum.
No, this is calling on the ancient gods to appease them, to make them
could be
favorable in his...
Certainly. Just sprinkle chicken blood on your devil box. It's the only way it's going to work.
Oh, devil box, speaking of. Oh, where is it? I don't know if this is going to be seen. Maybe should I unplug this?
Ooh,
shiny.
Ooh. You've plugged yours in. I haven't.
I had. I was curious if it would go boom or blink. At first it did nothing, but then it blinked.
Oh, that's good.
So now I'm waiting for him to finish the API so that we can actually start using that thing.
Start doing the stuff with the bits.
And then pushing the buttons.
All of the button pushing. I look forward to pushing buttons as well.
Yeah.
Also, especially since he went, I'm going to base it on the ZX Spectrum Classic Laser Squad, at which point you're just going, fuck it, I'm in. You had me at Z.
You had my curiosity, now you have my attention.
Now you have my attention. Full on Calvin Candy.
Yeah, so Blinky is doing some sort of app-based game with a big-ass piece of gaming board. It's another other way to put it.
It is chunky.
Some magnets that were left behind.
Oh, did you get a lot of lead as well in between the magnets?
It could
I think
be.
he calls them penny weight scales or something. They were very malleable.
Could be that. I haven't checked on them.
I immediately chewed on mine on the ground, so I'm just going to use metal. So, metal miniatures.
Yeah, that's probably... Oh, I know what I'm having for dinner tonight. Jesus, now I've pulled one of the magnets off.
Yeah. So, if people want to know whether or not this is successful, at some point in the future, and I should probably record it, Blinky is going to be working out how to play a skirmish cyberpunk game
that he designed himself
over the interweb net against an opponent somewhere else. So,
and both will be handling
yeah,
genuine miniatures and not some
not
pictures on the screen.
Yeah, not Control Q and spin with E and blah blah blah. None of that shit. Real miniatures, and then it will tell us what's happening, allegedly. So at some point, I may just have to record myself trying to work out how to install an app on my phone.
Don't record it. Don't record. Do a live stream for that one. That could be amazing.
And it will just be like the apes.
And I will take bets on what timestamp you will start losing your temper and going nuts.
So yeah. So just to let you know, that is coming, and it's probably worth following that, because he's got so far as to soldering up a game board and 2 technological machines to send to Ireland and Germany. Presumably he's kept one for himself. So yeah, that's going to be a whole other wealth of weirdness. I imagine what's going to happen next is immediately Boris Johnson's going to go, you know, leave your houses, don't worry about it, COVID's over, and we'll all rush immediately to play games and not have to worry about this. It'll get forgotten.
Oh, and then everybody will get sick.
Well, yeah. That's key, I feel.
So we're a quarter through. Let's jump on to the next. And, Whoremaster, 10 mil fantasy. Why is this sudden fixation on small miniatures people have? People
just love it to bits. I don't know why, but I'm a firm believer in it. If anybody recognises that blister pack, 2 years ago at Salute, Justin got one with the exact same branding on it, and we've never seen it again. So,
coincidence?
His contained a dwarf army. This one contains an orc army. But yeah,
look at those little buggers.
Oh, good time side by all. Look at them. Look at the orc archers. Look at them. Look how cute they are. Look how happy they are to be there shooting people in the balls.
You know what really would kick these off a notch? Bowstrings.
Bowstrings. just get yourself some whatever gauge of copper wire this is. That's ideal for 15 mil bowstrings. You know, more resilient than string. You don't want to use string. String's too thick, especially for those. It frays really badly. It looks like they've got a rope that would anchor the Titanic on their boat. Go with wire. Wire is your friend.
Why do people keep insisting on painting such details on such a tiny scale?
Yeah, who knows? But to be fair,
what's wrong with them?
At that scale, you can get away with just going, I'm just going to do red and white. We're done. Boom. You don't have to do any shading or highlighting or anything like that. Just get the colours roughly in the right place on those shields and you're good to go. Although I will point out he has done shading on the musculature of the Norks. As you can see 2 tones of green on their skin. and
look how clean he's taken the lines on the shields. This is... God, people, get a hold of yourself.
I'm going going to introduce you to a phrase that you may. This is going to be my gift to Germany via you. The phrase is "wind your neck in." Just when somebody's doing something that they shouldn't be, whether it's singing at 4 a.m. outside your door or painting quarters on shields in 10 mil fucking fantasy, just wind your neck in, son.
The good thing about insulting anybody in Germany in another language is most of the time people won't get it. Even if they speak the language, it will take them an additional 5 seconds to translate because they are not used to speaking or reading in any other language. This is why I really love watching, or I loved watching movies on the TV on the Netherlands channel we had here on cable TV, because they weren't translated. Way back when, before DVD was invented, you had no chance. You had to get your movies from the rental, and they were translated.
To be fair, having seen some people in the Netherlands recently speaking, I do feel like they're making that language up a lot of occasions. Because I've seen things like, hooty-dooty, the trainy weenie isn't moving and shit, like, it just, they're every now, it will sound like a comprehensively coherent sentence in another language, and then there'll be a couple of words that just sound like they're taking the piss.
Well, it could be, and they would be right. So
I quite like how he's painted the tongues on those tiny wolves as well, because that's important.
Yeah. Next up, he will do a drop of saliva or something.
Oh well, goes without saying there. Fairy tale Flemish. Fair enough.
This is one subject where I dare venture is I really can't get the difference between Holland, Netherlands, Flemish, Belgian. Please don't try to explain. I know this. It's a troubled past.
Don't teach me. I don't want to learn.
Yeah, we have a saying that my mind is made up. Please don't confuse me with facts.
Oh, won't go for that.
Next up, Rangers of Shadow Deep. Oh.
Douglas the Fugless.
Did he do something that he will be shipping to Warren? No, he won't.
No. Some people may remember last week we looked at the ass end of a massive Doug the Fug Rangers of Shadow Deep. I mean, it went on for pages. It was there for years. And I looked at this, I'm going, that's not the same one. And this isn't. This is specifically a pirate Salty Sea Dog Swashbuckly Rangers of Shadow Deep gang, which I just fucking love. Because why not? I mean, Rangers is this mysterious grim place, but beyond that, you pretty much have free reign with that world. They've gone, here's kind of the idea. You've got a gang of people who are keeping back the scum from overwhelming the good nations of the world. But beyond that, it could literally be set anytime, anywhere. So I just love seeing the swashbucklings. And not just because I have a set of Princess Bride figures. Although I do have that.
Things we thought we'd never learn.
And everybody has, not everybody, the important peoples have names and backstories, and that's Captain Eusebius Snapshot Fletcher. I'm just going, what a name, that's just amazing. He looks hauntingly familiar as well. He looks like the big fella from my Wiedersehen pet.
Yeah, there's some. Looks like this one is missing something from his left hand.
It might just be... Yes, the wrestler Pat. That's the one. Pat. No, I was going to say Pat Nevin. He's not. He's the Scottish ex-Chelsea player. Pat something. Anyway. Yeah, it could be going for a fist bump. That makes a lot of sense. Why not? But we've got the whole, unlike the previous one, which was a comprehensive, I'm going back nuts into Rangers and here's all the stuff I'm making. This is a really nice project going, here I'm building my war band.
What kind of scale is that chain?
That is a big chain. They are off a ship, though.
Is he actually able to lift that arm, let alone slap someone with it?
I imagine so. He's left-handed, so that's actually his masturbating arm. So it's not. It can really take the pounding.
He's pounded it.
That's right, Pat Roach. No relation.
Oh, and we have blood on the
Pat from EastEnders.
On the sword, which is unusual, and the last miniatures were all really unbloody on their sharp pointy sticks.
He's the only one who's actually got off his backside and done something. Well done him.
He tried to get in the back. Let me through. I'm a doctor. Doug, I've seen you there. Are you planning on expanding these in some way or form? Adding some more crew? Maybe some little goblin Gretchen creature as a sidekick?
Say that, but that just looks like Lord Flashheart there from... If you just go back up one.
The red-haired dude with the flying capes.
That's him. He looks like he should be stealing Edmund Blackadder's bride.
Ah!
And I like wearing dresses. Woof.
Still not gotten around to watch that again.
That's lovely. I think he's saying in the actual project itself that there's points being spent on recruitment. So it may be currently this is the size of the warband, but then we'll expand as points become available or people get killed up.
I think looking at this picture, they won't be surviving very long.
I think not.
Because there's someone sneaking up behind them.
They know he's there. He's their native bearer. He's carrying all their shit through the jungle for them.
And here I was thinking they would be about to be ambushed. Yeah, nicely done. I love the tents.
Cool.
Making buttons colorful again. Dang it, OTT, take my buttons. Did you notice? Currently there's 2, 3, 5, and I hit them, and we have 7, 8, 10.
Because when they refresh, the people are in the background spamming away like they should be.
Yes, that's correct. That's what we expect them to do.
How else will we get updates on, people putting tickets in on a Wednesday morning going, I went to bed and I had this many on my project and woke up and now there's like 200 more. Is there a glitch with the project system? Somebody actually submitted that as a support ticket.
I laughed my rear end off when I read this entry in his blog. Yeah, that happens when 50 people watch your project and suddenly hit all the buttons.
The occasional fatality replacements. That's good to see.
Imagine this stream would have, let's say, 10 times the numbers. The system would go bonkers.
Oh, Tom would tell us to stop doing it.
Probably. or quit his job. Either way.
Yeah. It's not happening anymore. Knock it off. All of you, knock it off.
Balthazar is answering the call to arms. And this is again just to annoy me because it's... No, I'm not buying another system this year.
No, you don't need another system. I wouldn't worry about it. This is another short and sweet one because, Modiphius. That's a thing that exists, apparently.
It's not yet released, if I recall correctly, but shortly August?
The Dragonborn was a promo pre-order thing, yeah.
That's around, but the other things aren't officially around as far as I'm aware.
But he's very cleverly used the Joan of Arc dragon as his dragon, which makes sense because it's probably the only dragon big enough to be in scale. So it's got that going for it.
Well, to be fair, the dragons in Skyrim do have different scales.
Oh, well, actually, those look like they're the official plastics. All right, so it must just be out. Because I know we got well, actually, to be fair, we had them before the coronavirus kicked in, so it could be out for some time. We got the boxes a while ago.
Maybe Modifius have really learned from the Fallout disaster that was their Fallout release and had produced enough to get it to shops ahead of time.
Well, they were helped in the grounds that they made all of the models in hard plastic this time round, in hips. So it's all sprue based, so you can just go, I need 20,000 of these. Well, that'll take about 20,000 seconds then. Whittum.
Something about that, yeah.
As opposed to the previous, which was ABS and resin, which are very slow. But yeah, be interested to see where it goes. I don't know where the Invisible fellow came from.
That was a recent release.
It's a recent one. Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, that's a spiritual form you can actually have in game, making yourself a ghost of sorts, sneaking past,
screaming skull for the bones, blue wash. Ah! There you go. Seen a similar thing on the Call to Arms Facebook group. Confused now because Call to Arms is a really good sci-fi ship-to-ship combat system. So I'm not sure why they'd be discussing ghosty things. I only assume that somebody's...
Cloaked ships?
Yeah, that makes sense. Or alternatively, it's not based on that.
Maybe. Next up, a box.
A box, but not just any box.
What's in the box?
It's Gwyneth Paltrow's head. Yay.
This is... One of the best movie scenes ever. This will probably not surprise you at this stage. This is a fantasy 10mm army. Well, who would have guessed? 10mm squigs. Oh, aren't these lovely?
Yes, they are. They're very cute.
Perfect Jerry shots.
Yep. That's all you want. Considering how big they are, perfectly in focus. Those things are like that. They're smaller than your fingernail, don't bitch.
I'm not. I honestly love these little buggers. I loved the Squig Hunters in Warhammer Fantasy Battle and 6th editions. Squig Herders, what they're called?
Squig Herders. Yeah. And Squig Hoppers. My opponents didn't like them, but then I had quite a few in my army.
The sheer thought of having some goblins poking violent, springy red balls with teeth and claws towards the enemy was nearly enough to get me into Warhammer Fantasy Battle.
Oh, they were such a delight to play as well. So he has a selection of Pendraken and then back into the GW for the hairy, flammable nutbutts.
Warmaster Flagellants.
Religious fanatics. Everybody loves religious fanatics.
At least in games.
Yeah, that too. Sure. Pesky goblins from Magister Militum.
Fanatics would be also a very nice addition to this, I think.
They never had any. Did they? No, I tell you a lie. I think there were some fanatics on. There was like a hero sprue. You bought a blister pack of heroes that had like some mounted and some on foot. And I think there was a fanatic or two in there just for like colour, but they weren't actually unit wise.
Oh, shame.
Yeah.
Those were fun.
Again, not to my opponents.
Well, then you have played the wrong people. You should always... actually, if I would play against someone and such a loony unit would appear, I would laugh my ass off, no matter how hard he handed it to me.
They never did, though. I would push my night goblins forward, then they would explode in a variety of ways, and then my opponent would win. It's generally how it worked with them, because they would do an awful lot of damage to somebody. Sometimes it was your opponent, sometimes it was yourself, and then you would just lift that unit off the table. You go, well, that was fun.
There he is, the little bugger. Can I get him? I can't get him up more.
Oh, yes, there we go, see?
Oh, nicely. Nice.
I was right.
Now they only need some color.
He's painted the giant. You'll see it next.
Well, that's a slim boy.
had to fit on the 20 by 40 mil base. I quite like the base as well, with the wrecked cart on it that he's crushed.
But no skull. At least not on the base.
It's probably hiding.
Chariots.
He's got some around his neck. The tiny wolf chariots.
Yes. Ooh.
Yeah.
Lovely night goblins.
Look at them. Everybody loves dags. Do you like dags? I like dags. I also quite like the snow basing he's done there. It looks very icy and fluffy, which is no mean feat in 10 mil. Without making it look like it's either just chunks, like boulders of snow.
Winter is coming to this one.
Something you don't see often either. You know, orcs and goblins with a winter base.
No, I would be hard pressed to say I have seen that ever. Usually you get them on green or desert. And occasionally in sci-fi on some kind of metal, but snow? No?
PVA, water and bicarbonate of soda for those looking to follow along at home. That's how he's mixed up the snow. Stirred with a cocktail stick and fired on. The cheap table mat to be used as a snow mat for the tabletop is also kind of cool. It's meant to be a marble effect, but it's like, yeah, no, that'll work for snowbank.
For 10 mil especially.
Iron out those creases and just go nuts.
Well, I wouldn't go with an iron on if it's PVC.
Oh no, it's fine. You just put down a tea towel and then iron on the tea towel. You don't iron directly onto the. That would be madness. That
was my intention. Using something different, maybe even hot water would be.
Oh no, you can't go. Iron's fine. You're safe with this. Just be sensible. No heat.
That's the problem here. The term that's missing in my book. Sensible.
Oh, sensible. Like Captain Sensible.
You've seen what I've done with my airbrush in the terrain.
That's true.
Yeah. If he does paint the squeaks, I'd like to see that again, please.
I shall keep that in mind.
Next we have the thing that makes me drool again.
Yeah, I didn't put it in last week because he'd only had one update, which was how he was going to paint the grey.
And now he's doing lighting.
and then about an hour, maybe an hour and a half after we finished last week, he put 2 new things up on lighting the interior that we talked about. And it was like, good man.
And seeing this paint job, look at this. This could be a drawing of some kind.
Oh, it could be. It could easily be a studio model,
or a matte painting for some background.
Yeah, the work that's gone into it is amazing, especially when it comes to doing the Aztecing. They call it. You used to be able to buy masking sheets that were rectangles cut out in different ways for putting on things like this or the Death Star to get that weird pattern. But in this case, it was just masking individual rectangles with bits of tape painstakingly cut out, and then to get the really nice, and I mean it is really nice, shading on the panel lines, got a pencil, sharpened the pencil, and then drew around all of those lines. And I'm going, you know what you should have done? See this get a pencil, sharpen the pencil nonsense? No, you get yourself a mechanical pencil where you don't have to sharpen it, and it's got one size tip. So it won't get thicker as it wears down. It'll just go away. That would have sped you up somewhat, but regardless.
Or maybe use pigments.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I would have oil washed the shit out of that. Just like varnish it, oil wash, wipe it all off again. We're done here. Move on.
And just to make it clear to everybody watching, this isn't finely lit. This is just him drilling holes into his perfectly fine model, which gives me the creeps, and using a bright light to shine through the plastic to see, well, it could look.
I will check my lighting. I think this would look well. Oh yeah, there's spoilers for people watching. There's no way this is not getting a fucking golden button when it's done. There's just no way.
I would be mad if it wasn't going to be I finished on not getting a button.
I've already told Ben. I went, Ben, there's a thing I haven't linked at any point. I don't want it being looked at until it's complete. But when it's complete, it's deep in the com spot.
You will look at 2 panels and go, yeah, button time, big time. It's just the amount of work he's done for this single model.
We looked it up as well because I don't know if he says how big it is here.
I think he said in the first paragraph somewhere 32 centimeters.
No, because there's 32 centimeters.
It's the Bandai kit,
which is only 32 centimeters, and then there's the 60 centimeters Zvezda one, which is repackaged and it's a good size and shape. I think this is the Zvezda one. Maybe?
I think so.
So it's a beauty. I want it. I want it, and I did Google it, and I'm going.
Nope. You want it, you can't afford it.
I could if I wanted to. I've nowhere to put it.
You can hang it from the ceiling when it's done.
I could hang it from the ceiling. I have a Death Star from Revel upstairs in the loft somewhere that's been sitting in the 8-piece. It's an 8-piece build. It's like hemisphere is made up of 4 sections, and then once you've built your 2 hemispheres, you lock them together, and that's it. That's all you need to do. And in the 25 years I've had that, I've not got round to doing it.
If you
Actually,
look
I know
around
what's
there behind me, I don't think if you can.
I can see it. Yeah, on the shelf. This was about the size of a beach ball, and I can tell you what year it came out or what year I bought it, because I bought it to use it on a Battlefleet Gothic table. So
that narrows it down.
When did Gothic come out?
2003, 4.
So it's not as long as I thought. That's not bad then. This isn't telling me.
No, Gothic was
1999. All right, 21 years.
I remember the first playable rules being part of one of the first White Dwarfs I had.
1999. 21 years ago, I bought a beach ball-sized Death Star, and it lives still there. But to be fair, I also have a Babylon 5 station up there as well for that Gothic game, and at some point, maybe I'll get to that.
But the fun thing about this Death Star is it opens up. It's the pocket model.
It's the Micro Machine.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Flip it open and play with it.
Oh, that's awesome. No, mine is just a beach ball. Once it's glued together, it's never unopening.
Yeah, but that's better for gaming, I guess.
What's this? There's a chap sometimes posting the site called Jay. Yeah, Jay Dan. He's incredibly talented. The DS. He did quite a lot of stuff. He also used to do a lot of studio paint jobs. The Evil Dead 3 Army of Darkness. He did the studio paint job for the box art for the car with the windmill propeller on the front that he used to chop shit up. Jay Dan's great guy. I should really look at his thing. It's quite calming when he's doing painting tutorials as well, because I don't know where he lives in America, but it's somewhere like Florida, tropically type of thing. So like the window's always open. You always hear rain in the background because it's very humid, and birds singing all the time. It's like very ASMR.
For a minute, I thought you said, and he's got the windows open, and you always hear some siren going off.
No. It's very mellow. It's just Jay, just chilling. Doing tattoos on an ogre or whatever it happens to be. I like it. Yeah, definitely. If people don't know Jay, they should definitely go and have a look at him on the Tinterwebs, on the YouTubes.
Shall we go on?
We shall. Despite my best efforts, I was shouted down for giving this guy golden button. Although I will keep putting it in my suggestions for golden buttons until they crack and fucking ham one over.
I remember this one. We had a vivid discussion about his freehand.
It's freehand. He's finished, which is why we're back, because it really is just. Again, it was one of those. We finished doing the thing, and then like the next day, type of nonsense. You put a a post up with, here's my tank finished, here's the base finished, and here's like 10 shots of the tank from all angles, and then painted another tank as well with like some cam on it.
He got a bit away with the freehand, I feel,
I love
painting
that
the 8-ball.
because that's actually really good when you look at it, because that's on a corner of the ammo box. So there's perspective has been used to make it look like a circle, even though it's on 3 different planes.
Yeah. Nicely executed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm just going to keep poking Ben until he hands one over. I don't get final say.
I try to remember this one movie where they were hunting World War II for some gold. Was it that 8-ball?
That was 8-ball, played by Donald Sutherland in Kelly's Heroes.
So I wasn't far off then.
Grimwolf, I'm aware of Plasmo and their work on that, yes, and it will make me cry. I'm now being linked Plasmo's YouTube channel where he lit a Star Destroyer, and that is a work of beauty.
Yeah, I've looked at that video not so long ago myself, and it's just...
But yeah, so this is just a little revisit because we looked at it last week, and we spent a lot of time talking about the transfer failure and just going, you know what, fuck it, I'll do it live. Don't let it get you down, just plow on, and I really like it.
Yeah, he's
two tanks done now.
He's pulled through with his vision on his tanks. More power to him. This definitely would set him apart from any other tank commander on the table who has just done the basic grey wash transfer done.
Definitely, you know who's run over your head when they run over your head. Also, and it's probably something I hadn't really thought about at the time. Whenever I last built my Imperial Guard tank army, I built them like that. Not one of them has side sponson. And, game wise, it made no sense because they made, it always put sponsons on. Why would you not put sponsons on? It's more shots. It ups the threat level of the thing. But I just really like the look of a Rust that doesn't have sponsons. It's just like mainline battle tank. None of this wibbly wobbly crap out the sides. Plow forward.
Also, it makes them more versatile in city fight.
Yep.
But that's too much realism.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's not why I did it. May just be because of the artwork that you're copying the camo pattern from. Doesn't show side sponsons.
Could be. So, our next candidate is an old... Well, I wouldn't say...
Not an old one. This is the follow-up to the famously successful Rum Atel Boss Wars.
Yeah, the great Constructicons that are not Constructicons but wars.
Exactly. And this is Beast Lords, which is based on some sort of Dinobot type thing, yeah. That sounds plausible. And once again, he got in there, did the historical research as to what those specific Dinobots should look like. This is obviously based on, I imagine, archaeologists' excavations, pigments found in the rock layer, that sort of thing. But previously, because I think the last one had been for a build and paint in a month challenge, and we came in with more or less most of the stuff built. I don't think anything was unassembled. This time around, we're getting to see it all from scratch. So it's literally here are the people that I have, and here are the individual miniatures. Look at those color choices.
I love what he has done. He has made up a mock-up of the original art like it's in the game, then did a variation on the like they were in the cartoon, and then a alternative history bad guy look, which is
why
awesome.
Not? You're only young once.
But you speak for yourself. I'm staying young until I'm dead. I refuse to grow up. I can't adult.
Growing older is practical. Growing up is optional.
Yeah.
So yeah, plan before you paint. Definitely in there. And then we're into the painting with a whole variety of colours. Look at all the colours.
I love these minis. These are gorgeous. And I dare to say they look more crisp than the previous ones. The casting looks way better.
This is the company in question. BattleBots, isn't that it? Something like that.
I think.
I was poking around on their site after the first set of streams we did just to have a look at them, and it was particularly BattleBots game. It's particularly noticeable that it's not that there's a massive step up in quality. I think it's not so much the molding, but it's the sculpting and then the casting from the first set. So these are a more recent set, and they
put a bit more work into it.
There was more work in at the sculpting stage, and it's paid off then, because I don't think casting wise it's a massive change.
Well, and to be fair, the construction vehicles, the original ones were based on, didn't have very much detail in the cartoon either, but the Dinobot were very detailed, even in the cartoons. So there was probably more reference material to base the castings on. But this looks nice. I really look forward to see this go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, I also would like to see the original color scheme done in non-metal metal, but I think that would be some undertaking.
Don't know. We can always just throw him lots of abuse in the comments until he does it.
Yeah.
You're not getting another golden band until we see non-metallic metal.
do Grimlock. At least that one. Lovely, lovely Grimlock. Jesus. Well,
I don't know. I want to see King Crabs from the Atlantean series.
I can't remember those.
Oh no, it's from the BattleBots game, not cartoon.
Oh.
But who knows whether or not it's actually based on something? I certainly don't.
The only King Crab that I know is from BattleTech.
That is a different King Crab.
Well, it's not so different from BattleBots. It's a mechanical contraption.
Ooh. Rum Atel is lurking in our chat.
He
You
is.
can actually just tell him, hello, we enjoy your stuff. Paint it non-metallic metal or you're not getting a golden button.
Where is he hiding? I can't see him. Oh, there
It's-
he is.
There you go. See,
Greetings, Rumble.
if you say so, I still say it's pronounced Rum Atel.
Or it's Rum Achtel.
Rum Lee.
It could be, possibly.
Could be any of those. We're all looking forward to seeing the next set painted in non-metallic metals.
At least one. Please, do it.
We don't ask for much.
Yeah. And donations.
No.
Not yet.
Buy merch.
I was tempted to do a one-off run on some Teespring form just to make fun of people who are not doing merch. I did merch. Can you? Okay, next up we have a wolf that I've seen before.
We have. It's that
Storming
delightful
wolf.
Storming Wolf. Continuing on the 24-hour paint-a-thon, although, as we have discovered, it's 24 hours in total, not 24 hours in one go.
Cheeky little bugger.
Cheeky, but, he's sticking to it, going, I've done an hour and a half today, I've done, 2 hours there. So we've got a few little updates. First off, one of my favourite is the palm trees.
Palm tree comparisons. I've been a fan of Mel Terrain 22's work for so long that every time somebody mentions palm trees, I like to imagine Mel getting a little tickle. Same as when somebody says chindits.
Drink. Who is it? There's somebody in particular keeps asking every week. There's one person who starts it. Oh, I can't remember. It'll come back to me. Anyway, yes. Plastic bamboo. So this comes via Amazon. I think you can find these on like Wish or something terrible.
Yeah, I
That
will.
as well.
If
And
you're
at a
looking for
much
cheap
cheaper
terrain,
price.
don't go to Wish. You will be going on a spending spree. I once looked for what was that streetlights in 32, 28 mil scale, and after 2 hours I was so exhausted looking all through the options. I went, what?
Just going
Don't.
down. Well, he's gone one step further. Gone. I've got stuff from Amazon, and here are the links to the Amazon store. There you go. Job done, which is handy.
Oh yes, I remember his very nice bases.
Pete, the only reason we don't have Star Wars Legion in stock is Fantasy Flight Games are a front for Bolivian drug cartel. They have nothing to do with games, gaming, or supplying games. They just need some way to explain the vast amounts of money in their slush fund.
Especially supplying games is a bit of a hassle in last time.
Yeah, it's easier for them just to go, look, we sell this R2-D2 and C3PO figure in Craft Space Shuttle, and it's going to cost you the bunker. How much is the Imperial bunker?
90 quid?
All right, so I think it's only 75.
Yeah, it's 90 euros.
So 90 euros. So there you go. It's like a ton, and people are probably looking at that going, nobody buys this, and then they just show the IRS, nerds on the internet, and they go, all right, fair enough. That explains where your 1.2 million came from. And at no point does anybody go, have you got a factory? No, we don't have a factory. Like once a quarter, when we give you ours, we make something just to keep the boats moving, just so people go, mustn't be Bolivian marching powder. That's it. That is the only reason FFG exists. And if they're not laundering drug money, I'd be very surprised. That's probably slander. Glad this isn't going up on the internet.
Lucky you that we don't fall under the jurisdiction of the US of A. Suck it!
Warren's been looking into slander and libel stuff, and he got this book, and it goes all the way through the UK legislation, and then at the very end it goes, the defamation and libel laws do not exist in Northern Ireland because they never brought them in 2003. And I'm just going, fucking say what we want. Fuck you, you're all cats.
Makes life a lot easier.
Oh, it's great. It's amazing. But yeah, so he's done that, and he's done a bit more work on his Seraphim Cavalry and water effects. So progress has been ongoing, not as thick and fast as it was the initial sort of run-in, but it's still there, still chipping away.
So next time when we will see this project, he will have fitted the palms to the bases, I imagine, and maybe even stuck some minis on.
I imagine so. What I'm going to do is count up how many hours he's currently used out of his 24, and we'll start doing a rundown. Maybe pop in every 4 hours worth or something. Just so we're getting quarterly updates from now, rather than popping in for every 1.5 hours of work, because you don't always get massive progress.
No.
It's one of the reasons why Rum 8 Lee didn't get on the show 2 weeks ago when I noticed that. Because it was just, I'm going to do this project next, and it was literally just, this is the next project. I'm going, well, there's nothing else in it. We have to wait now.
Wait until it's done. Next up, this is from one Horatio Noseblower.
That is somebody who I've heard of.
Yes, a very kind person. I couldn't find any other words to describe him. He was, at one point in time, so generous as to give me for 2018. Let's get this little guy down, and hope that some of you will can see him.
Is it the Christmas Bubbly Fat?
Yes.
I remember the Christmas Bubbly Fat.
I will do a bit of a lighting.
Oh, if you open it up, it's worth less.
No, because I did the box. He just sent the MIDI. The box was my idea. He sent the box, but I redo the basing a bit. So this is, and he has actually done another thing similar to that, in that he has made Christmas tauntauns, but they are still en route.
Christmas tauntauns.
Yeah,
are their horns done like candy canes, like red and white stripes?
I couldn't tell you. I haven't got them yet. He only told me.
You just can't set that up then. You're such a fucking tease.
I am.
You are. Although not that much of a tease, because if he's done a project like he did before, I can see it, even if it's private. So I might just go looking for that later and just go, I've seen your thing before you have.
He actually did. He showed me the link. But I'm still anxious when this thing is due to arrive. It's en route now for 6 weeks.
From the USSA?
Yes. From the USSRA, or whatever they are called these days. So what's the project we are looking at now? I've seen the picture he posted in the thread.
Yeah, he's taken Maeve, the Ice Witch, from Keltos, and went...
That's why she's so familiar to me.
How best can I base up and paint up an Ice Witch by doing her in the jungle? I've gone, well, fair enough then. And it's not just because he's got the Lion Sleep Tonight there by the tokens. You know, the urge to sing The Lion Sleeps Tonight is only ever a whim away.
A whim away, a whim away, a whim away. In the jungle. No, stop. We're getting copyright claimed again. Well, fuck it. I don't even know if this gets... Chat, do you hear this?
I'm not. Kids may be hearing it on their end. They say yes.
Okay, 15 seconds should be enough.
Oh, anything over 10 and you're fucked.
Okay, then I'm fucked.
Oh, no.
Oh, demonetized. No.
Oh, no.
Next up.
How will the children eat tonight?
Dinsdale. Dinsdale. I was trying to find the clip for that, but I couldn't.
Oh, what a shame.
I have the complete series, but I couldn't make out where exactly where point that thing comes in.
Dinsdale appears. Yeah, that's true.
Dinsdale.
Maybe we'll follow up with some goodies.
So, what did Crazy Red Coat do apart from citing Monty Python and putting up a raven?
He's painting Odin, the Allfather from Footsore.
Ah.
Not the only thing he's painted, but decided to go for a bit of a more natural look. This is a hodgepodge of stuff, depending on what he feels like painting. So it's not this isn't all going to be Vikings. This isn't all going to be this, that, or anything else. It's literally just shit I feel like painting up. So there's thought and memory, and the idea is that Odin is going to be a bit of a wandering fellow. As he puts it, the Lord of the Aesir and husband of Frigg in all his humble glory. So not going for the Gandalf the Grey look like he's sometimes depicted, but going for a more sort of naturalistic colours that you would see in the...
And a really nice looking chap when he's finished.
He is. He's delightful. He's a really nice figure as well.
I think I would like to see a god game where the gods aren't really as gaudy, if you catch my drift, but maybe some sort of hero characters, but in a skirmish way.
Yeah. They're not all powerful.
Yeah, not omnipotent and all-knowing, but yeah, they can do a bit more within the realms of what is in the myths about them.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Because generally when they do start throwing gods on the table, they do get a bit ridiculous. I'm trying to think. Gods and Mortals is right beside me. I think they're a little less ridiculous, but still quite punchy.
I would go for a game with only gods, no mortals. Gods, the skirmish game.
That would be a way of doing it. You can mount him on Sleipnir, his 8-legged horse. So that's something you can do.
That would be a horse that gives Justin nightmares.
I must have a read of that. It's meant to be a decent set of rules, but not a standout. The thing about the Blue Book series of stuff is you can never tell what you're going to get. Well, you probably could if you waited for a review. I just tend to buy them all. going, well, it's good, happy days. If it's not, well, say to me.
Jerry, tell me, this Mini is giving you nightmares, isn't it?
Is it?
Well, it looks like somebody poked his balls out.
Cold dead eyes of a killer there. The only odd thing's the eyes being they really are really deep, aren't they? Wow.
Looks like somebody has...
skull fucked him.
That
no,
looks...
That's not what you were going to say. I'd say.
Well, your words, not mine.
They are super deep. They don't look too bad from the side.
No, but from this angle, that is stuff on nightmares. Especially because the wash has dried a bit, going down like blood.
Poor fellow.
Yeah.
You do. Do you have a miniature punch, Crazy Redcoat, for knocking out rivets and stuff? What you could do is get very thin plastic card and knock out 2 very small circles and then just glue them on and paint it as if he's wearing glasses, just have him being a little spec-wearing Tommy walking about the trenches and stuff,
So that Jerry isn't having any nightmares.
So he doesn't look like he's been skull-fucked and is still ready to go out there and kill people.
Well, at least this way he can't see the horrors of war.
That is very true. The Blanco problem. There is definitely a problem with Blanco. It's the British equivalent of field grey for German uniforms. It's like, what colour was their webbing? Well, it was Blancoed. Was it? That's shit.
At what point in time?
Yeah, and who knows what colour it is now, quite frankly. This is where we came in, I believe. We've seen that lady before with her peacock-like hair. Or if we haven't, then I certainly have.
I think we have seen something similar.
Yeah. I could have sworn we looked at her, which is why
It could be, but that would have been one of the first. Because that is... How long ago? No, 2nd June? Definitely not.
All right. In that case, I'd seen it. Yeah. I then went, oh, we've definitely seen this. But it's because I keep thumbing... I need to stop thumbing up the buttons when I see stuff. Because I don't know what we've looked at and what I've just looked at.
Well,
otherwise I would have inverted it so we could
people will tell us when we start going over the same projects over and over again. I reckon.
I'm sure they would,
but if they can remember themselves.
Oh yeah.
For I can't.
Here's the thing before we disappear off that.
Yes.
And it's more for Crazy because he's lurking there. See how you're showing off the picture of the crow at the start, and it's got very noticeable like purple to it. I painted up some crow's feathers or crow's wings and used a metallic purple dry brush over the black and a metallic green dry brush in various places. So when you tilted the bird, it went between black into purple into green, like an oil slick, doing kind of like a color flip thing. And for crows it looks great. It won't come off in photographs, but just for a quick way of doing it, I think it's interesting. Billion Suns is the new sci-fi ship-to-ship combat game coming from the guy who wrote Gaslands. It should have been out last month. It has been pushed back by Osprey to February 2021, I believe.
For what reason?
There were coronavirus mostly screwed up a lot of their scheduling and stuff, and so
they're not just doing rules but miniatures too.
No. I think it is just I don't know, because they've never done. They've done miniatures in the past when it's in conjunction with somebody else. I think it's another miniatures agnostic. Based on the rule set I have for it, it's miniature agnostic, so you can use whatever you want, but the people who should have been doing like artwork for them and doing this and doing that all got sort of spread around, and
so the complete production line is busted.
Yeah. So it screwed everything up. So it's not going to be this year, but going to be early next instead. If anybody's interested, he has a Facebook group. It's interesting because he's unlocked the rules for gamma testing. He had them unlocked before so that they could get beta testing feedback and stuff like that. And then he shut it because he thought it was going to be going into production. It's reopened for 3 months for further testing if people want to get involved. He will literally switch. It's been out for a month or so already. He'll literally switch that off at the end of it. So you can't download the rules indefinitely. But if you want to see what it's about, it's worth having a wee poke.
That's a nice one. I shall keep that in mind, even though I don't know where to fit that into my schedule.
Yeah, it's one of those things. If you've got X-Wing sitting around, the ships for X-Wing could become bigger ships in your fleet game. Or, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
If you've got stuff kicking about. I have an orc fleet.
I would think I have a bit of it. Mostly every ship once.
There you go. So you're flying then.
Yeah, far away. Off to the next project.
Next
World
project
by Mage. That's a name I haven't read in a long time.
A long time.
Where
of course,
is...
I know him. He's me. No, hang on, he's not. But he has reappeared from wherever he's been hiding.
Hiding from us is not possible.
Yeah,
We'll find you.
I think we've looked at the chicken before, or if we haven't, then possibly looked at it on a weekender.
No,
everything blurs after a while.
I think the chicken actually made it into this show at one point in time.
Right.
Yeah, this fellow with the lovely glasses.
Yeah. But after we hit that, we do hit some new exciting bits and pieces because he's been working on a couple of big fellas.
How big?
Bigger than a house, little smaller than a mountain. So there is...
yeah, I remember these little dwarvy duties.
See, you haven't... Oh, that was the night you hadn't logged in or something, that's right.
Yeah, where it's been so long, that was probably the third or fourth time I was doing this, so I may have not gotten onto pushing buttons then. Yeah, the Fire Goblin, I remember.
Yep.
Wizard is new to me, April 8th.
Wizard is probably exciting and new, certainly after our wizards, and we've two, a tall wizard and a small wizard.
Oh, isn't he cute?
It really is. Tiny top hat wearing gnome thing.
Can he see anything with all this beard in his face?
Got huge eyebrows. Eyebrows like my father. You just have to come in and prune them back every 6 months. They were like sun shells. They just hung out about here. Very hairy eyebrows, that man. But yeah, we have
a lot of small people.
Ickle fellows.
With lunch.
Well.
And a beverage.
People get hungry too. Even gnomes get hungry sometimes. Or halflings or whatever he's supposed to be. I don't know. Don't know what he is. But the past, the present, and the future. So this is where we start to get interesting. I'm assuming they're in that box of blackness for reasons.
I think maybe just for safekeeping.
Oh, no, I think he was firing flock on them or something, or maybe he just puts them in the box if they behave particularly badly in a game. You stand in the box of black until you're better.
You lost your last game, now back in the back blocks. Can you remember what we said about the one Legion mini Ben made? The Luke on his back head?
Oh, the big mold line down the back? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
At least that was on the back. Here we have two mold lines going through the face. Oh, that's bad.
Maybe that's a feature. Maybe they were just hitting the face with a shovel. To pair them.
They were too eager to get to the front and hit each other.
Get to the front. You will do what I say when I say.
Oh, now we're getting...
isn't it?
He's green.
He's green. It's that foresty dragon type thing.
But is it a dragon without wings?
Yes. Unless you're in heraldry, in which case, no, it has a different name. But I'm not part of the Royal Colleges of Heraldry, so yes, dragon.
A screamy sergeant and...
Yeah. The Abalonicans, the very British-inspired faction.
Inspired is the right word.
Yeah.
But for some reason, this is how I would imagine the day watch in Discworld.
Yes.
Feathers on top.
Well, they're more like Borogravians in Monstrous Regiment.
Yeah.
So, because it does tell you that the watch. Oh yeah, no, yeah, I get you now. The day watch, possibly Palace Guard, gets essentially.
What is this?
Terrible gets. Release the hounds.
This is an awesome shot,
Isn't it though? Some people criticize some miniatures for being flat. I don't know where they get this idea from. He exists in only 2 dimensions and it's mathematicians. It's very Discworldy.
Yeah, that's this isn't so bad, but the running one looks like he's just recovered from being steamrolled.
I think he's just been chucked out of a window. Moving carriage. Somebody leashed it out there.
Oh, look, the talking dog is here too.
Gaspody. The thinking man's dog. Oh, it's so cute.
I'm currently
It's very Scrappy Doo as well. I've just realised he's done a very bright blue, powder blue colour on the not that dog, the next one, which just screams Scrappy Dappy Doo. Scooby, Scrappy Dappy Doo.
I'm currently re-listening to the Nightwatch novels.
Sweet.
And it's just I've just finished. I don't know what the English title is, where Corporal Carrot is getting involved with the she-wolf.
Men at Arms.
Men at Arms, yes. It's just.
Be a man in the watch.
I love the development of the characters from one book to another. Where when Vimes finally gets to be that big ass player in the city and nobody likes him.
My favourite one by far and away, and not just because Pratchett wrote that I'd given him all his ideas inside the cover of it, but the Fifth Elephant, when they're away doing all that stuff with the dwarves and the vampires and the werewolves and all the faction fighting, and every now and again it flicks back to Ankh-Morpork and the watch have quit and Sergeant Colin's eating the sugar cubes and going mental because somebody keeps stealing the sugar cubes and there's no crime in the city because everybody's just going, oh shit, when Vimes get back he's going to go mental, so even
behave.
Even the thieves and robbers guilds aren't fucking doing anything. I just go, it's amazing.
The best part of the book, in my opinion, is when Vimes gets chased through the woods naked and is taken a rest in this hot...
It's in the hot pool. Oh, lovely bath. You like a bath?
The picture that paints in my head is always... that gets me. And it's so... Pratchett never really describes bad violence. He just hints at it, and you have to figure out what happened. Well, they fired a rocket, and he may have snagged it mid-air. Yeah. What happens next is up to your imagination. But he's dead. And the way he's hinting at the gender of some of the main dwarven characters. And who is secretly in love with who and why. It's just so brilliantly done.
When you wear 50 layers of chainmail and leather.
Micro armor.
Gender is more or less optional at that stage.
How was it called in English? This special micro chainmail they did in Ankh-Morpork.
I can't remember.
Where the chief of the night kitchen from the university and her best friend get to some kind of catwalk event, and she suddenly is on the catwalk with a fake beard, and everyone goes mental. Microchain is the best.
It's very much going to be the coming thing in the century of the fretbat.
So, soul music is one another very nice one. Or music with rocks in. It's the best wordplay ever.
Soul music. MPCLN literally means bud of the holly.
He's getting away with so cheap jokes because he's executing them so subtly and...
There's a political comedian who doesn't really seem to appear on TV anymore, called Mark Thomas. Very big in the 90s. And Channel 4 did essentially a Terry Pratchett themed weekend. One weekend in the middle of the 90s for no reason, and Mark Thomas essentially compared it. And he was a huge Pratchett fan, and I think they had some documentaries, they had interviews with Terry, they showed the Weird Sisters. It was the launch of the Weird Sisters cartoon.
The animated movie.
The animated movie, yeah. And Mark Thomas had written a review of one of Pratchett's books for like the Times or the Guardian or one of these big broadsheet newspapers, and finished his his dissection of the book with it. His humor makes Terry Pratchett whoever it was of the Dickens of the 20th century. Or, he gave it a really flowing praise, and at the end it just had this little caveat: the views of the reviewers do not necessarily reflect those of the Times newspaper itself. That's just fucking class.
It comes to think, did the newspaper write that under there just to be safe, or did he do that in honor of Pratchett?
Who knows? It could go either way with it.
If he did it, great. If the newspaper did it, cunts. How can you not love Pratchett?
I don't know. Some people are odd. What can I say? Some people are odd.
And while we're talking Pratchett, I'm scrolling past all these lovely little...
So many halflings. So many halflings.
So they almost make a complete whole army.
Yeah. Just half of one.
And they, despite of being... Well, I don't think they are that good modeled. At least they look a bit thick. The facial expressions on most of them are quite distinct.
I don't know how old these are, depending on when they were sculpted and released. Artworld have a really nice range. The earlier stuff, because he designs everything. So he designs the model, sculpts the model, does the artwork, blah blah blah. And the earlier stuff has a heavier hand, shall we say, in the sculpts, and the later stuff is really, really nice. But they've always got an awful lot of character regardless. It's just how well executed it is in between. But I do like the Artworld stuff.
And his highlighting really adds to it.
No.
Pete, why do librarians don't like Pratchett? Because he doesn't bring bananas? Ook.
I don't know.
Best line in every Pratchett novel ever. Ook.
Ook. Yeah. It may be a vital oxygenating biomass to you, but it's home to me, mate. I know at one stage Terry Pratchett was the most shoplifted author in the UK, so I don't know if that extended to the libraries as well, or if it was solely just shops kept getting their books saved, which meant, everybody had a copy but nobody had bought them.
Which is a shame, because he really he deserved every cent.
So again, this is a weird, we have to go backwards to go forwards thing. But we've got a couple of nice grip shots. So
we're becoming time bandits.
We are becoming time bandits, which makes a lot of sense. When you think we're mostly looking at halflings and dwarves.
Look at this group. This should be something for Manda, who loves dogs, as I know.
Do you like dogs?
At least judging by her Instagram. Every now and again there's a dog of Instagram post by her with some fluffy mutton. But these look really nice. I would say these would make a decent army in any fantasy game.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. I like the green and yellow as well. It's a really nice contrasting color.
Imagine them going off against a group of Chaos Dwarves.
I don't think anybody wants to imagine that.
Or Wood Elves.
That would be better. Just coming at them out of the underbrush at knee height.
Shooting in the groins, biting the kneecaps.
But if we push past those, we have two big fellas, the dragon's back, and more or less completed. So big, in fact, it won't fit into his tiny light box, which I kind of feel bad for him.
But only partially.
Only partially. Because, you know, he's got a painted model to put in a light box. I have a bigger light box that would easily take that model, but no painted miniatures to put in it. So,
but you probably have painted them up in your mind already completely.
Oh yeah, amazing! It looks amazing.
And as we have established on this podcast, your mind succeeds every actually painted model.
At some stage, I'll have to show you my fully painted Dark Elf army, which consists of like 400 or 500 models. Now, only one model is painted in every unit, but all you have to do is look at that paint job and then imagine what the other 30 look like if they weren't just undercoated.
And for a second, I thought you really had a complete painted army.
I have one of every model painted. Going, there's all my tests done. Oh, imagine this unit's going to look fucking amazing when they're all painted like this.
And I thought I was going to have a hypothesis here that you have spent all your painting tokens for that one army and you're simply expended and can't paint anymore because of that.
Nobody's getting paint on you anymore, you little shits.
You know what would be handy for that? If copy and paste would work on real miniatures. Just imagine having an army and you know, oh, this paint job is so well done, I want it exactly the way on every other miniature.
I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that big wooden chest of scale 75 magical paints, whatever. I can't remember what they're called. Their contrast.
The Kickstarter, the latest.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to your review.
Yeah, just to see what it's like. Who knows? It's called Instant Paints. Fucking amazing. Can't wait. Bring it on.
Just add water.
in the same way, yeah. I've got Instant Paints here. They're called fucking pastels and pigments. But in the same way, my ogres are like, you know, all I need to do is put a dip on them and bam, they're done. And then I get to the point where it's just like, all I have to do is put a dip on them going, I want to dip them. I want to paint them.
And next step, dropping them to the floor.
Well, yeah. Well, don't worry, I've done that. That gets done an awful lot.
Now, here we have some standoff.
No, I think it's a bit much that he's had to put the dragon on a mug to give it an unfair height advantage there. But at least we now know that the dragon is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Because of high ground. Yeah, and the giant is wielding an anchor, which is great in itself.
Yep, he's got a I'm going to call it a steering wheel because I can't remember what they're called when they're on boats. He's got a steering wheel strapped to his leg and an anchor in his hand.
And since he's a giant, the sculptor can't get away with foot on rock, so he's using foot on well.
Yeah, foot on well. Foot on small townhouse. Oh, sorry, I've just scrolled a bit further down and seen some of the Lloyd shots of that giant. And you're going to appreciate it. I don't want to spoil it. I'll just wait for you to get there.
Oh, look at the detailing on that toenail. God, is that disgusting.
There's a Primaris. So you can work out scales. It's just the right height for Primaris to gnaw on his horny toenails. Skip past if you find the painted one with the base done.
Yeah, I did.
There we go. Because I just don't want to ruin it by showing it half done where you can see it in all its lovely glory. A couple of transfers on the shields.
What did he attach to his back? Is that a horse?
It's sheep. It's 3 sheep. Because why would you not? Sheeps. 3 sheeps, please. Thank you. I'm hungry.
Did you see the dead guy crawling under the foot on
the rock? So I don't think that was a whale. That might have been a hovel.
And he's got a flashlight in his pocket.
I just think it's pleased to see you. Is that that's the bowsprit, the prow of the ship, is it, or has he just got?
I think that's a real woman because she's got skin color and all.
They would have painted it realistically before putting it on the front of a ship. Who knows?
No, that's a living woman. That's a living flashlight. I'm staying with it. He's a man after all. He has needs.
That is a terrible, terrible image you're conjuring up there. Oh my word!
Oh yes.
Oh, good night, kids. We were worried about being demonetized for.
We are past 10 p.m.
Oh, it's fine.
Her scale doesn't match the man. Well,
yeah,
I don't know how his equipment is. Maybe his equipment isn't gigantic. Maybe it's a match made in heaven.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it's like.
Maybe he has to compensate for something.
Like a whale. It's very long and thin.
And he's got a pig and a goat.
Oh yeah. He's a hungry man, for the giant who's always on the go. I think, I could be wrong, I think he's got a door strapped to one of his feet to use as a sandal. I think that's what's on the other.
It looks like a door, and he's got half a barrel for
as a kneecap.
This is just amazing. We need a big table view with him and the dragon and some small halflings sprinkled in there, not to be seen. Oh, this is great. I hope we see more of this, Mr. Mage.
I imagine we will. I'm fairly certain that there's somebody nearby who's keeping an eye on it.
Who's throwing an eye at him?
That too. Now we know that you have to go backwards to sometimes go forward in projects.
Yeah, that's a weird feeling, but that's the way the mysterious Omnisire works.
That is true. That is very true.
Praise be his name. And don't forget...
That's where the eyes of my sergeant went. It could be. It's entirely possible.
And speaking of Panzer Kaputt.
Were we?
I think sometime we were talking
true.
About him.
That
maybe.
is true. I only put it in just to keep him watching. Because if we don't include something every week, he doesn't show up. And that would have our viewing figures. It would just be Robert sitting in the chat, call me a cunt.
Yeah, sadly Robert isn't here to call us a cunt.
Yeah. We're okay for now. Maybe later. I think the Giants Ark World as well. I think it's from the recent Kickstarter, but who knows?
Well, first looking at this, I see a very shiny helmet on Vader and his Imperial Guard, which is exactly the thing I did, and where
totally appropriate.
Where it should be. And the next thing I see is a bandit rod. The dude next to Darth Vader has a bendy rod.
His force pike has gone a little off the boil. He needs some form of long time ago galaxy far, far away little blue pill.
Maybe he's feeling just a little insecure next to Vader.
See, Mando agrees. Well, yes, that if anything's likely to give you brewer's droop, it is having that being wafted around in front of you. That would put you off your A game.
Probably. Speeder bikes. Oh, it's nicely done, not in the typical brown Endor.
Yep. I like the grey. It's a good look. I also like the fact these did the base.
Well, bases, schmaces.
So I say this as somebody who doesn't have any of his bases done.
We just
decided to go with straight grey for the studio ones.
If you ever see me doing bases on Legion, that's a call for help. That's me struggling with something. Yeah, these are the core set miniatures, and even though they were more or less a first for FFG, I like them.
Yeah,
they're not the highest
well
of quality, but they are what they are, and they are way more palatable than some of the, what's it called again, Imperial Assault minis.
Oh God, yes.
Some of those were terrible.
Then
some
Imperial
of those were
Assault was-
nice, but some of those were terrible.
It was just board game pieces, wasn't it? It's not like real games.
The scaling was all over the place.
I have a feeling they thought that was the way Star Wars fans wanted it, because we'd been subjected to 6 or 7 years of Wizards of the Coast's blind buy D20 system, the pre-paints, where you could get a Jedi who was this big and then get the same Jedi in another set who was like that big. There was no scaling at all in it. I assume somebody did the research at FFG in between doing lines of their white marching powder, and then came back and went, yeah, Star Wars fans, they want their stuff to be all different sized. Oh, it doesn't matter. No, God, no. And somebody's going, shouldn't it be the same? They go, no. They love it. They love it when somebody's like half the size, and then we do another one that's like 5 times the width.
Then he clearly hasn't seen the guys ranting and raving about imperfections on the Black Series of figures. I mean, these look wow sometimes, and still people find, oh, this button isn't in the right place.
Some people are, as Robert would tell us if he was here, cunts.
And he would be right.
Yeah. Give the people what they never asked for. That's key. I can't remember who it was who said that.
Somebody who made a lot of money. Probably.
No. I have a sneaking suspicion it was either a writer or a director, but they were railing against the fact that you get these studio executives will come in and make decisions based on what test audiences want. And he's going, They don't know what they want. My job is to tell a story, and then they go and watch the story. If they knew what they wanted, they'd be doing my job. They'd be writing or directing or whatever it was. And it's true, because anytime anything gets made by committee, it's generally horrible.
Rules can be adjusted by a committee, but the creative process shouldn't be done by vote of the majority.
No, it never works out particularly well. But it's a really nice little force there. I quite like Boba Fett just floating along on the crest of a wave.
And the next we have Dead Zone Painting and Gaming, and these look like Skaven from the Underhive.
Yes, that is practically what they are. They are vermin from Mantic Games. Space Rats. I do love the Space Rats. There's that lunatic bomber up front as well.
I have the sneaking suspicion might have been on one of the first runs, but I might be wrong.
Well, he has done stuff today.
Or was it on the subject of solo play? I can't remember.
Could have been solo play. Could have been solo play. Look at the Peacekeeper armor on those Enforcers. They are big, chunky bastards. They're proper space fascists. Stay away from them. Actually, they're not. They're corporate police. They're OCP in space. But it's really nice.
What is that for, dude? Is that a mutant zombie shooter?
Yeah, things did not go well for her. She was a lab technician, and it's gone a bit wrong.
She looks like a lab experiment at this point.
Yeah, well, the plague is all-consuming.
Aren't these jolly people? Look at their smiling
they
faces.
Are lovely. I love the very, very back left. You can see very clearly one of my favorite. This is a multi-part plastic kit that you can build in a variety of ways, including the guy who's ripping his own jaw and intestines out. But the very back left, there's one of them who's just holding the butt of a rifle and he's just beating somebody down with it. Because they're not zombies, they are plague-infected lunatic mutant things. So they're not slow, shambly ones. They're just not
they look like
good
they
at technology.
Jump at you from one end of the room to the other in a second.
They do. Well, some of them do. Some of them are less terrible. Some of them are even capable of using rudimentary weaponry.
And here we have the rats, the
Oh,
very
rats.
nicely looking space rats.
Space rats are great. Everybody loves space rats because they just hosed you down in chemical goo. I just like to imagine Splinter took to the stars and went, they killed my turtles, I'll make sure they never kill anybody again, and then that was it. From that point on, he was leading Krang's forces against humanity.
He's cloning himself, and some of the clones went mental. That's a quite impressive force.
It's a really fun game because that gridded mat they're sitting on there, that's all you need to play on. It's a 8x8 cubed grid, and each one is 3 inches, and that's more than enough for a game because you never measure. There's no measuring sticks in this game, no rulers, no anything required. You go, how far can you shoot? I can shoot 3, and you just count how high you are in cubes and how far across they are in cubes, and whatever the bigger number is, that's your distance. So if you're sitting on the second floor, you're firing out 3. You go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That is 3 away from me. Bam. If you move 1, then you just move from 1 cube to an adjacent cube. It's really, really simple and incredibly devastatingly tactical because you can just get butchered so easily.
That's the thing with rules being very simple. You have to master them to get a great deal from the game. To basically look at chess, you don't have very much variation in moving chess, but that doesn't make that game easy in any shape, way, or form.
This one, I mean, you really have to go out on a limb to get yourself skylined with absolutely no cover at all, to be riddled with bullets, but the rest of the time you are just ducking and weaving and bobbing, and they're nice. These guys, Pete, these are enforcers, so they are essentially the global giant corporations, cops, private security who arrive, who just kill up anybody who's kicking around. These who I'm planning on using my sleigh shiver patrol for, because I just really like to do it. I just think a load of jesters running around the place shooting space dwarves and space rats in the face would look great. And occasionally they'll be fighting against cannibal corpses, so perfect. These are the things I think about doing. Does require me to assemble all my stuff though.
And maybe even paint, but I'm not going to be a heretic here.
Why would you even say that?
Because I'm mean, and someone called me a cunt, and he was right.
Oh no, terribles. Terrible.
This brings us to the last project for tonight.
Yeah. Wow, you've got well past your half hour tonight, haven't you?
A bit.
Little bit.
Bits Box Raid Iwo Jima Diorama Spring Clean Challenge. So, reading the title, seeing the green whatever.
That is just COVID. It's COVID-19. You know what that is. We all know what that is these days. We all
you can't say the name. We're demonetized. Oh.
However, ignoring Gilbert there.
That's a sample of bits. I see an orc, I see Eldar, Space Marines, and all these are somewhat old.
Yep, all good. Classic Eldar Guardian, classic, that looks like a Bloodclaw Space Wolf, 2 chain swords. Go team go. However,
a Gretchen with a gun.
Yeah, well, why would you not? Don't want to give him a pointed stick. What if he comes at you with a banana? However,
release the tiger.
Decided to build a diorama based on
Iwo Jima.
So the raising of the flag, which is clever because
he's using an orc driver.
Yeah, why not? If I dig into my hello, because years ago, if this shows up,
Space Marine painting guide.
Yeah, but specifically, if I come up a bit.
Oh, this is great.
So that is based on the U.S. Marine Corps Iwo Jima Memorial, where they're raising the Stars and Stripes. So that's the old Space Marine painting guide. They did that, and then years later they did a thing called Skulls, where whenever you spent money you got stickers. Ronnie Renton invented it, which is why they have Mantic points at Mantic. They did this diorama model based on that again, which was just an updated version of that, where they actually have things like Armageddon, Pervigiligium, Corinth, Dula, and America, which I imagine the A from America has been ripped off that standard there. So it's I just quite like seeing another homage to this coming out. It's where they started a few years ago, I'm going to say. Not sure when that painting guide was published, but that the Iwo Jima flag raising has appeared multiple times, but it's always been Marines raising it. Whereas this time around, it's like, you know what? We're all in this together against coronavirus. Therefore,
we have an apothecary, imperial guardsman, an orc,
an Eldar, yeah, and they're all there fighting good fights.
And what's it called? Oh God,
Necron.
Necron. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and there's the coronavirus painted in all its abomination.
Coronary goodness. Doesn't tell me when this was made. I remember that they released a book of Golden Demon winners with this as the front cover, though. So certainly a thing.
I wish there would be a finishing picture on this, because it looks like he's painted everything and only needs to assemble.
Well, the base work is done there, so it's quite nice. So I imagine we'll get it, because if the Corona's only been painted up a few days ago, maybe he needs another couple of days to finish it off and photograph it. Next week, I'm hoping for it.
Zinch, get onto it.
Nurgle.
Well, this was a fun ride. Went better than expected, especially considering that I'm completely sober.
Yes, I know.
Unheard of.
Oh, I'm out of water. It's outrageous.
Yeah, me too.
Whatever will we do? I suppose
we will end the stream by thanking everybody in chat and listening to this afterwards. I had a fuck ton of fun. I hope you had too.
It's been emotional.
Yes. Next week we will look at more Tiny Fighting Men. Remember, Warren will try to make some radio tomorrow. That would.
Oh, that's true.
That could be fun.
It's got some wonderful music.
Oh, my eyes still hurt. And it was 3 seconds.
Oh my God.
I recognized the song. I recognized that I've heard that cover before, and I said, nope.
Oh, apparently not all of them are like that.
I hope so. I really hope. Yeah, but then again, maybe if I can manage to get the work done, I'll do my news stream on Saturday. Reading a bit slower, so we may have more than 7 minutes of filming.
Is there a specific amount of time you have to hit?
Yes, but that's already achieved via the Tuesday streams.
Oh, right.
Simply the amount of days I've streamed that has to get up somehow. So basically I could do every Saturday a 20-minute ramblings about anything that pokes me. But then again, I thought I could ingest it with a bit of more substance.
That's one way of doing it.
Yeah.
The alternative is just do a review on, Sunday of the Weekenders. Just go, well, this week it was a bit balls. Don't know what they were doing. I'm only here to annoy you. Bye.
Well, the favorite format of the internet, a reaction shot.
Oh, reaction. Oh, definitely. Tim reacts. Pundancer reacts.
Pundancer reacts, but then I should do that on a Monday and react to the XLVS intro, because those get me every time.
They're getting harder and harder to find, I'm telling you that.
I imagine. And at some point, I think we have to do some kind of drinking game online. Every time somebody says something incredibly stupid or can be proven wrong.
Just any, yeah. The way to poison everybody is just do this. Anytime Ben says very, very cool,
or Lloyd says amazeballs.
Amazeballs or sweet.
Something along those lines. could be fun.
Yeah,
could be potentially deadly.
I imagine so.
Not safe for work intro soon. Yeah. Well, since I'm not telling YouTube these videos are made for children, I guess I can get up with anything I want.
That's the way to do it. Saga.
Someday I must get around and get the Sega sample and rework that to Saga.
Saga.
Every time Saga comes. That brings me. Why is so few Saga the last days? Aren't there any more projects, or are you just not showing them to the world because you're unable to to contain yourself?
I think we've derailed people into doing 10 and 15 mil fantasy.
Well,
everybody seems to have shifted.
What about 10 mil Saga?
10 mil Saga, like my tiny Saga.
Tiny Saga.
It's 15. It's over there.
Wow.
5 mil. We'll get back. Get back to it at some stage. I've got to try and convert a couple of Squire halflings to sit on the back of my bunnies.
Yeah, these bunnies are fuel for nightmare, I tell you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Will you do some saliva on them? Thought as much.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Flying rabies.
I know. Border ship down all over again. Right, you should go to bed.
Well, I might wait till the download from Twitch has done and then re-upload it to YouTube so that all the people, all two of them can watch it.
That is, to be fair, one of them's normally me. So I always like to show willing. Go buy merch.
Merch. That's the best way to back off. Crazy Red Coat, don't call upon the beast of... They just won't let us go. Right. Before I ramble on too long, Jerry, thank you for being here. Guys in the chat, Amanda, all the others, thank you. We will read you again sometime. Bye.